Welcome to All In with Allie podcast. Today, I am sitting down with somebody who has wrote the following posts, and I just want this to set the vibe. So you know what's coming at you hot, okay? Let's start with number one. No, babe, you're fine. It's just the way that you're clinging to a niche is resulting in an algorithm anti-boner and making your content super lame. No, babe, you're fine. It's just that when you ask for comments in the caption, hoping for more engagement, it's giving super desperate vibes. No, babe, you're fine. It's just that when you water down your personality and language in your content to make sure the local PTA moms don't judge, you're now creating content for them instead. Congrats. No, babe, you're fine. It's just that the aesthetic on your feed is giving ransom letter vibes and it's giving me anxiety. No, I think this one's my favorite. No, wait, which one's my favorite? All of them are. Okay. No, babe, you're fine. It's just that when you try to give value in a 3-second reel entertaining the trend of the day, it isn't even content creation anymore. Where's the one about this? This is my favorite. No, babe, you're fine. It's just that when you're leaving 3-paragraph comments on niche adjacent accounts, hoping people will pick up the quote expert vibes and follow you, it's embarrassing. Welcome, Katie Rollins, to All In with Allie.
Allie. Oh man. Looking back, I'm like, oh, I was kind of a dick a little bit.
Oh my God, I love a dick.
Hi, I'm so happy to have you.
You know what? There's no need to warm us up. Let's just dive in. I just have to share this. I think this is so cool because I remember when I first met you, and you and I have talked about this before, but you and I met for the first time at DSGC's unconventional event in Tampa, Florida. And we spoke very briefly, but I met so many women at this event. And something about you, I was like, I just like her. Like I gravitated to you immediately. And we connected very briefly, very, very briefly. And then we connected on Instagram after the event. And when I tell you, I think it was within 12 hours of following you, you quickly became one of my favorite follows.
Well, I'm happy because I was already like, your bubble was one of the front of mine on Instagram all the time. So
I mean, but I think it's so funny because we talked and you had like slid into my DMs when we were talking and you had said something, but anyway, and I was like, I don't know why. I just feel like there's a reason why I'm drawn to you. Who knows? And then here we are, less than a year later. You're now on the podcast, and
it's I'm like not soul contract stuff. We were probably like,
I agree,
sister kittens in another life.
Oh my gosh! Wait, we were what?
Sister kittens. I don't know. Like
we were in the same. Wait, what are kittens? No, what's
litters?
Litters. We were in the same litter as cats. 100%. Yeah, I'm picking up that vibe for sure. Yeah, but I'm so happy you are here. So before we dive in to all of the things that we're going to talk about today, I would love for you to catch up everyone and share just about you and take us back as far as you want to go. But the reason why you're here right now is because you've created like such a presence and vibe on social that we're going to, pick apart and talk about. But how did you get there?
Sure. So social media is kind of like, I think I was chatting with you about this yesterday. I was referencing it to like my playground, and the way that happened, like super quick backstory, is I met my husband randomly in Connecticut in 2007. I was working at an apartment community. His construction company he worked with was building it, and they like sent him in to do the second phase of it. We met the same day he got there. I mean, it was like, whatever, he was hot. I was like, oh, we're into each other. We started hooking up, and then we end up moving to Vegas together, like quickly after. And then because of the nature of his job, it was like every 8 to 9 months we were moving somewhere else. And I always would find some kind of office job with a restaurant job at night. So I would make these friends, but there was no way to really keep up with them. I mean, I was like, these are probably not friends I'm going to have forever, but I really, would like to stay in contact. So this was Facebook back in the day. We became Facebook friends. And it was like once or twice a year, I was just collecting these connections with people through Facebook. And then I landed myself, we had moved to North Carolina in 2010. I was pregnant with my oldest son, Charles. And at that time, like I couldn't really find a job and he was gone all the time. And Facebook literally kind of became the place I had to go for connection because I was like, this is where my actual friends are. I don't have friends here. But it was funny because in my time then, like, I had all these friendships, I had all these connections, but I started to get very curious, seeking out like friendships with people I didn't know, which sounds creepy, but it's literally not. To me, this is how social media is intended. Like, I personally love finding people that I would not be able to meet in real life because they don't live near me, and then creating a connection. Now I have more friends. And so I spent a lot of time intentionally on social media for that connection piece anyway. Then what happened? 2014, I went into direct sales because I started doing Beachbody programs. And one of the girls was like, hey, you should sell this. I was like, I mean, I've worked at mall kiosks. I've had 14 jobs at once. I've done everything. I'll work at the vet. Growing up. So I was just like, sure, if I can make money, I'll do it. So I started doing direct sales because it just made sense. Because I was like, I would like to make extra money to pay bills. And then because I had all this connection on social media, because of all these years of using it intentionally, it just kind of took off and it went really, really well. And I'm still in the industry. I've been there 10 years. But the thing is that over the years, I've realized more than anything that everyone I kind of came across was looking at social media as this like tool to make money, to grow your business. And I was like, the funny thing about that though, is that like, maybe back in the day that was okay, but right now, like people are not opening up Instagram with their credit card out, like who can get me to spend money today? Like that's not how it is. And I was like, it's always been a place to play. It's always been a place to connect. It's always been a place, like even before we met face to face, like I had been on your Instagram and I was like, I like her. If I met her in real life, we would have been friends. I feel that it makes sense. And that's always kind of been the energy I've approached social media with. And now fast forward, I am building, my own coaching business and course creation and all the stuff that I've been practicing and learning over the years between social media, but also abundance and mindset and all that great things. It's been really fun because I've been able to kind of like channel that energy now into this playground with people that already, like we're already connected. So it's just been a really fun experience. But now over here, it's been really interesting also learning kind of an entirely new industry. We don't have to talk about all that stuff today, but Allie, I'm in Allie's mastermind. It's absolutely amazing. And it's like, I'm getting to kind of start as a kindergartner a little bit, but I already had all the connection built. So it's been fun to see that different dynamic of now being able to offer courses and stuff like that. But long story short, I guess from an intro standpoint, like for me, social media has purely always kind of served as a place where, and I'm also really introverted. It's always served as a place where I can go and like get my hands on people and like almost break bread and laugh and, get to know them better and get to feel like they know me better. And then I can also close it down and be alone if I want. So that's really, I think, kind of my social media backstory.
Okay. So you were in direct sales for 10 years and then you shifted 10-ish years about that. And then you shifted into what you're doing now. Now, I think this idea that you had and this understanding so early on, what it sounds like of social media can it be a tool for people to buy from you? Yes, but that's just like the smallest part of the tool. That's like, I don't know, it's not the full thing. When did you have that understanding? Because I feel like so few people look at it in that way as like, when you come at something in the wrong way, when you use a tool for what it's not originally intended to be used for, you're not going to get the same results. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle. So you've just always kind of had this awareness?
I did, but I had like the unconscious competence of it for a long time, but I now know exactly what it was. So have you ever had a job where you would go into that office or go into the place and every time you went there, it just felt like it was draining your soul and you absolutely hated it? That is what social media will feel like when you're looking at it exclusively as a place where how can I sell things to people and make money
So
off of it?
good. That's
Like,
so true.
have you ever had a job where even if like the tasks itself weren't very life-giving, but the people like are just the absolute, like you look forward to going in because you're like, what am I going to laugh at today? What's going to make me feel really good today? Who am I going to be inspired by? Even like, it sounds ridiculous. I've worked at so many restaurants over the years, and I just remember being excited going in because I'm like, I can't wait to hang out with 14 people today. And by the end of the day, maybe I'll have $100 in my pocket, hopefully. But like, can't wait to go do that. It is the exact same approach. So like, I personally feel like a big disconnect that many people experience on social media in any industry is when we're looking at it exclusively only as a tool instead of it being like an environment that you're stepping into consciously and getting yourself in check before you go in. That's where it can kind of morph your experience into not feeling fun, because that's the whole point, is like the content that you're making, the content that you're consuming, like if it's not actually serving you positively, then I'm not going to say that people are doing it wrong, but that's like the mismatch of how it's going to actually serve you in your business as a byproduct. Does that
So
make sense?
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. You said before you get on social media, you said something about getting yourself in check. Do you mean that you consciously, before coming on, do some sort of something just to get your mind right, to remind yourself what the goal is?
It's not a whole practice and it's not super deep like that, but I was listening to some study about how many times a day we now as people are picking up our phone and unlocking it. And in one day, it's something over 100 times. So we are all like, as humans, now officially programmed to just be tethered to the phone. It is what it is. And it serves a world of good for us, as well as it also kind of has created these like pattern loops that if you're just not aware that you're in the pattern loop, you are just open to anything. And so it's not so much that every single time I open up the phone, it's like, bless my phone and I'm grateful for you. But it's more of like when I'm opening up the Instagram app, this is going to sound ridiculous actually, because I've now trained myself as I'm realizing it. There was a period where I was intentionally smiling every time I opened it on purpose because I wanted to not feel like I was just like, whatever, let's get on there and see what happens. But I've kind of trained myself, like this apartment I really like. And I've trained myself at the last apartment, when I walk in, it's really nice. And I smile when I walk in the door and say, I'm so happy I'm here. And Instagram is literally turned into this place when I open it. It's just like, I have trained myself to choose joy when I get in there. So when things pop up that aren't in alignment with it, or opinions or a message or a comment that isn't going to work alongside, that paradigm for me, it's weightless. You know what I mean? But it does take a bit of conscious, like, habit building to do that, but it's also incredibly simple. This isn't just like you got to go through a whole ritual.
I think some of the best tips are the most simple ones. And I think it's the simple mindset hacks and abundance tips and manifesting, whatever it is. Like it's all very, very simple. And I think because it's so simple, we take it for granted and we look for it to be harder and we make it harder ourselves. So I love that. And this also makes me think of like another reason why I love following you and I love working with you is because you have such a connection to abundance and understanding of abundance. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. But you saying like, training yourself to smile when you walk in your apartment, which we're going to talk about your apartment too. And opening your phone, it's just setting the stage, right? It's like you can either be influenced by what's about to happen on the other side of that screen or in the room, or you can be the influencer. So it sounds like that's just you taking control of your own power, your own influence, and bringing that with you rather than being influenced.
Yep.
Okay. I love that. Very, very simple.
Yeah, it's fun.
Something that I struggle with, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this because you're a mom of two, you have two boys, and so do I. And it might just be the season. I'm sure part of it is the season because Rhett's so young.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I struggle with as an introvert is that balance of the real world and social. And and mitigating those two things, like marrying those two things in a way that feels good, that feels like I'm showing up enough on social.
Mhm.
I'm being present there. I'm building relationships, and I'm not letting it take too much of my attention from my family and the people that are here around me now. And one of the things, like in this season for the past few months, one of the things that I've had to stop doing is being so much in my DMs.
Yeah.
It used to be one of those things where, like, by the end of the day, the thing on my to-do list is like get in my DMs and respond to people and, keep it like inbox zero type
Yeah.
situation the best that I can. And now I've had to let that go. I just cannot. The time is not there. The energy is not there. And I have seen a difference
Yeah.
in engagement, sales in some cases, because a big piece of this is building relationships. So I'm so curious how you marry these two worlds and how you find a balance yourself, because I'm actually surprised to hear that you're introverted. I know you've mentioned that before, but
Yeah.
it never really clicked because you seem so extroverted to me and you're so present. You're such a present mom, but I also know you are so present on Instagram as well and building relationships and responding to comments and all of that. So I would love to hear your take and if you have any kind of strategy or anything that you have to share
Yeah.
there.
Well, I will tell you first, Allie, a thing that you do magically that I would like to just give you permission to maybe not get too much in your head about it is when you get on your stories and you just share these, I had this moment today, and then it's like 3 to 4 minutes of you sharing. Please know that probably half the questions you're getting are coming from a place of some of the things that you share. Like you give so much forward facing, even if it is only a combined 7 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be more than that, I have found, for the connection piece and for the trust piece. And I had to make a big shift. And so there are a couple different things that I have now layered in because, and here's a reality for the mamas listening, because, and this is not coming from a place where I want anyone to feel guilty, but I think it's just important to realize that if we want to use social media for business to any capacity, we also have to not create an environment where we're like resenting the time that we're on it because we feel like we're doing something wrong. And so I heard, and I can't even quote it correctly, but there's some study where like your child, they are looking up to see your eyeballs like hundreds of times a day.
Yeah.
And we are in a time now where literally our phones are in our hands and our child is seeing us look at our phone.
Yeah.
How many hundreds of those times a day? And so when I heard that, which was my son Hunter is now 3, he was about 1 when I heard that. And I was like, this can't be it. And so here is my reality of it. It's not to say that I'm not on my phone a good amount, because I am, but I'm doing quick documentation. Like if there's a story or there's something happen, I pull it out, take the picture, I record it really quick, and then it goes back down. And this is when I'm home. I do also have a nanny. I am in a work office apartment right now. So it's not to say that, but when I'm home and with the kids, I want them to see the whites of my eyes as much as they humanly can. So now that I know that, it's like I can capture things throughout the day. I can capture things when I'm home, but I'm not going to sit down and type it and do all the things then and blah, blah, blah. It goes into my phone, it stays there. And then I pick it up either when they're in bed or the next morning when I wake up or when I'm in the parking lot waiting for my oldest to get out of football practice, and I'll load everything up then. Pertaining to DM, that's for my stories. Pertaining to DMs, kind of there's like a 2-prong approach here. And I have also found that I don't think that we miss people if we don't reply right away or in a reasonable amount of time. And you've taught me a big part of this too, is like people that are ready. People that want to work with you, people that want to buy from you, people that want your product, if that's what you sell, like they're going to move forward. And if they have that connection with you because of what that relationship equity you've built with them by showing up when you do and showing up as your whole self, like they're going to buy, they're going to move forward, they're going to figure it out, even if you can't get to them in a timely manner. As long as you have links available, you have places where they can gather the information. I do also have an inbox ninja. Her name is Karina, and she's amazing. And I pay her a really reasonable amount, and she helps me and other people too. She's incredible at her job. And so anything that has to do with my product in my direct sales business, or has to do with anything, if they're looking for a link for something simple, she'll reply and say, Katie's Inbox Ninja Karina. So people are still being served to a certain degree. And I understand that may not be something everyone can do in the moment, but there was a big chunk of life where I had to do that on my own. And I did have to kind of figure out the 15, 20 minutes life mask. What am I doing when I'm in the inbox? Am I just scrolling mindlessly?
Yeah.
And I think a big reason why I kind of explain all of this is because no matter what the industry, if it's coaching, if it's direct sales, if it's service-based and you're using social media, like the worst feeling of using social media for business is when you feel like you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And so if you're not intentional with when you're opening it up and what you're going to do and why you're doing it and being happy, smile about why you're doing it, and you lose time because you're scrolling, you're on a real wormhole and this, and then your kid is wanting your attention and you can't do what you want because now the kid wants attention, but you know what I mean? Like it all kind of matters, or it all very much so matters. And so it's more like creating the environment in social media where it's a welcoming place for you to be, but it's also a welcoming place for you to get in, feel good with the time that you did give it, and know that end of the day, like we're not losing sales people, anything like that, because just like I said in the beginning, when you show up and you just give, like I've had people literally leave messages, I don't see it. And then the next day I'm talking on my stories about something. And then when I do see the message, the last message is them saying, never mind, actually what you explained in your story was kind of the answer. And I'm like, okay.
And we love those people, don't we? Who are just self-sufficient and
I love a resourceful, self-sufficient girl, for sure.
Resourceful woman.
Yeah. I hope that helps.
It's so helpful. It was kind of jarring because I put a question box up a couple weeks ago about the podcast, asking for questions to answer in the podcast. And I got a response from somebody who's taken a program of mine who like I worked with, who I still like. But she was like, I sent you a really kind message about motherhood. You read it and never responded, and then put like the melty face.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I would never, and there are times where you see a message and you're just like, oh shit, you're in the middle of something. You are like mindlessly scrolling. You happen to see it. You don't have the space. And then you forget these things happen. But that really, taking responsibility, like I mean, if somebody takes the time to send me, especially a heartfelt, thoughtful message based on something I said in the podcast or whatever, like, thank you. I value your time so much, but don't think that I'm just like reading and not responding because I'm an evil troll. So, some people get it, some people don't, but I do appreciate your.
And that's the thing too, is like, the reality is social phones having immediate access to us all the time has also created a very fake reality that everyone should have access to us all the time. And I understand having social media and feeling like because you can message someone and even if they open it, that like now a response is warranted and deserved. And it's an ego hit because I will say to a certain degree, I've experienced something similar with someone that like I sent really helpful stuff to that they asked for, and then it was read and it was never replied to. Mm-hmm. And I had to be like, well, okay, that kind of sucked a little bit. Yes, it made me feel like tossed away. And maybe I have my own stories about feeling like people don't like me. So maybe that's only filling the narrative. And it's like, but not everyone's going to have that level of just like thought process and make it not mean something. But if you're listening to this, I would also like to welcome that, like, are we sending things for sake of giving? Are we sending things for sake of just to share the joy, to share the love? Or are we sharing things because we want the validation back? And if we want the validation back and that's why we're doing it, refrain from doing it because that's not an abundant way of doing it anyway.
Nobody's reading your message to be like, ha, they responded and helped me and I hate them.
No, exactly. But like how many times are we completely distracted anyway? Like opening something and then you forget, like they're doing it too. So
100%. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. One thing that you do so well, and I admire so much about you, one of the many things is you have the self-awareness of what you need in place in your life to be successful and to work your business and to show up as the mom and be present so they can see your eyeballs at home versus looking at your phone or whatever. One of those things is you being intentional about the time on your social. and your Inbox Ninja, which I didn't even realize you had, which I think is fantastic. And well, while we're talking about that really quick, what are some of the things that does she do anything else for you? Because I know some people are going to be curious.
Oh, she's my homegirl. She's the best.
Let's talk about Karina. Shout out Karina.
Karina, she's my little generator. We love a good
man. The amount that they can get done in a short period of time, I could never.
She
magic.
loves it. And she's a younger girl too. I think she's 21. And she's been to all the Tony Robbins things, and she's just like a very conscious person. It's wonderful. So she literally will help with just about anything I ask her. But right now she helps with scheduling posts that I need for direct sales, things that need to go out into that notification app. She does handle messaging for follow-ups on certain things when I need it. And same thing with her. Like, she works, she's not on there 9 hours a day working for me. She creates little pockets of time for when she hops in and does my things. What else? She'll help me with Google Documents when I need to like pull from courses or from groups and stuff like that. And I ask her exactly what, hey, can I do that? Can you do this? She goes and grabs and puts everything into the document for me. I mean, the only thing that she wishes she was better at is graphic creation. It makes us laugh because she's like, she tries so hard and it's just not her jam, and it's super my jam, but it eats my time up. So I have recently outsourced when I need graphics and I don't feel like doing it myself. I have someone else that helps with that. But that's the thing is, there was a period where I was just trying to do all these things on my own, and then I was resenting all the time I was spending in it, and I wasn't doing anything fun. And like, it's just, there are other jobs to have where we're not doing the fun things.
Well, one of the reasons why you're so successful, I know for a fact, is because the content that you create. Like, that's why you're here on this podcast right now, because your content is so damn good. So you have to be present. Not only do you have to be present to make the content and have the time, you have to have the energy, and you have to have the creativity. And when you're burning the candle at both ends, trying to do all the things, you're not going to be able to sit down and write like a really fun, high vibe post or talk about vibrators, which we're going to put a pin in that, talk about that in a minute, but that's like your superpower. So I love that you found Karina, and she gets to balance out the left side brain type activities so you can be creative in your own right.
Yeah.
When it comes to what she does in your inbox, so she's essentially looking for anybody who's looking for links to things that they want to buy.
Yep. Things that are like time sensitive, that pops up when people need links to things, if it's product or masterclass or anything that I have to offer. If they're like, where'd you get those jeans? She'll ask me, she'll shoot me a text and ask so she can go and figure that out.
Oh my gosh.
It's wonderful. It works incredibly well. We, at one point, the thing is, I'm not super organized when I should be in certain areas, but like, she'll have a note. She has an iPhone note of just links to everything that I'm ever sharing out, and she tosses everything in there. So when it pops up, she goes there. Yeah. And it's the easiest thing. And then if she opens a message and it's not something, because I told her, I said, I want to reply as I can to the things that like really should be me replying. Yeah. So if you open something, mark it unread and let me know. And if you're not seeing me get in there in the next 5-6 hours, shoot me a text. If I can, I will. If not, I will do it when I get in there next. And there are plenty of times, I have not experienced where people have given me pushback on this. I did it this morning. The new apartment I have, I took a picture in here a couple weeks ago, and I was just like, I'm now on a kitchen island that I ended up buying, like a table, but I didn't want to put a table here initially. And someone had sent my picture back with like a whole design layout that she drew up on it. And it was so helpful. And so she sent me that, and I didn't even see it. So she was messaging or replying to something on Vibrator Gate. We're going to talk about that. And I saw the message above, and I was like, Stacy, I'm really sorry for not seeing this like timely, but thank you so much. This was actually perfect. Like, I'm going to get a console table for back here now. She's like, oh, no problem. I know you're busy. And that's the thing, is like, just not assuming the guilt is also, I think, a big part energetically, is like,
yeah.
If people don't get back to us, they don't get back to us. Like, if it's important, hopefully I'm going to see it in time. If I don't, it wasn't for me, or Karina can help or not. But end of the day, we're talking about Instagram messages. this is
Yeah,
the
let's
end
put
of
it
the
back
day.
in perspective. Let's put it
Yeah,
back in
we're not
perspective.
standing people up on dates in real life. We're
Yeah.
not going to graduations that we said we were going to. We are talking about Instagram
Well,
right
I am, but you may not. Okay, so that's super helpful. I love hearing what she's doing because I've wanted to get my sister in my inbox, but that's the one thing. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, there's some things that I need to respond to and other things that she can do. But yeah, just mark it back as unread. I I don't know why I just overcomplicated it. Let's talk about this apartment though.
Yeah.
I think this might be my favorite thing about you that you have done for yourself. Just go off.
All right. So 2020 happens. I gave birth to my son Hunter in January of 2020. He was 6 months preemie. And so we were in the house and, colic, all the stuff, which I think like every baby is colic. But so it was overwhelming sensory wise. And it's funny when you said that you didn't think I was introverted. The way that I don't come across introverted is because you experience me in times that I schedule or say I'm going to be there and I'm charged up because I'm not giving my energy all the time.
Amen.
So this is how it works. Mm-hmm. But like, I guess I'm just not shy is what it comes down to. Yeah. But so I'm home, it's sensory overload as it is. And then Hunter, we go to the pediatrician. They're like, he can go out into the world now because you keep them home so they don't get sick when they're preemies. And that was March 13th of 2020. So I can go on out into the world. I said, okay.
You're like, I'm not, thanks.
We went to Target and then radio's telling us you got to go home and then couldn't leave again. And I was like, oh my God. So, which I mean, honestly, I'm grateful for the time. I think it was kind of cool how the whole world had to slow down, and it's terrible, absolutely terrible, all the sickness and all the people that, we lost during that time. And the people that are listening, you're still on the right side of the earth. And I think it's actually interesting that we were all given this opportunity to just have to be eyeball to eyeball with the people in our world and just experience that. Or maybe if you were on your own, experience the things that you need to experience in that time to grow through. But so then it's like June, July, August. Now it's summertime. My oldest is however old he was. My husband's there, 2 dogs, baby's crying. I even have a nanny at this point. And I'm just trying to function. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to create content. I'm trying to do reels. I'm trying to do all these things. And I physically couldn't form a thought for the life of me. Because just knowing that they were home, and this is like an introvert thing too. I've been like this for my entire life, even with roommates or living at home when it was just me and my dad at one point. When I would just show up and someone's car was there, I was furious. I just wanted to be alone. I just needed to be in a space with nobody. And so I'm driving one day on the highway and I look over and there's this apartment community and I'm just like, I should just rent one of those. And that's where I go Monday to Friday. I don't even care if there's anything in it. And I'm driving and I'm like, what if I just rent one of those? And I just go there and treat it like an office. Because I had even done a shared workspace at one point, one of those big things, the trendy ones. So I get home and I look at Chuck and we're eating each other alive because we're tired of each other's faces and a newborn crying is making us crazy.
He's like, no, I want to go.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I want to go.
He's like, I wish this was my idea.
Yeah. No. And I was just like, Chuck, what would be crazy, but do you think it's a good idea if I rent an apartment, I just go there to work? And he was just like, it's a really good idea. I was like, that's a really good idea, right? And he's like, yeah. And it was I went the next day, I found one, and then just slowly started getting furniture in there as I could. And so I was there from, late 2020 until now it's, May of 2023. And I just recently moved because I have all these dogs now on that floor and it was driving me crazy. But so I got a much better one now. It's the downstairs is a 4 Seasons and it's just vibes. I walk in and here's the thing too. This is the other thing is I think that we're all very not environmental out there, but the environment that we're in affects us way more than I think we do sometimes. And so it's I was okay, well, if I'm going to make this place my place, and yes, I'm going to work, I'm going to create content, I'm going to do work calls, I'm going to record podcasts. If I got a nap, I'm a nap. I'm also going to create the space that there's no boys' sticky fingerprints here. There's no dog hair. There's no nothing. I never ended up living on my own at any point because I met my husband right when I got to have another thing. And I'm if I were at one point would have been single, this is how I would have made the place. And so it's just, but I come in and it's just joy, like no exaggeration. And I'm not here forever. I'm not here all day. It's just I leave and I go home and then I'm plugging into the mom stuff. And I felt weird guilt about that for a little bit. But then I was like, what's the difference from going to an office that you're working at?
No
like
difference.
Nothing. Quite literally nothing, except I can nap whenever I want if I need.
Yeah.
Like that's it. So it's, and you know, it's funny because on Facebook Memory showed me the status I made like 8 years ago. And I don't know what I was pissed off about, but it was just like the status was, I really need my own apartment sometime. And I just put that was the status. And I was like, oh, I guess I was thinking about this a long time ago, but
oh my gosh.
I mean, it's been a game changer. And honestly, I know that this comes from like a really, you know, I can afford to do it. And so I do understand that is, you know, not something I could have done maybe a couple years ago, but that's the other thing too. And I'm just going to say this from like a business perspective. It's been a driver for me. It's kept me excited. It's kept me a, you know, vision. Like I know a lot of people love all the purses and the cars, and I love them too, to a certain degree, but I'm like, having a place that I can just go to is the driver for me when it comes to business. And so I'm always just like, I appreciate it very much, but I also understand that this is like an extension of how I can be who I want to be for my family when I walk in the door, when I am on my social, when I am with clients, when I am with customers. Like this creates that space for me.
And you do higher quality work. You probably get so much more done because you're able to focus. You love the space. Mm-hmm. You guys, Katie was sending me a video of her, like the lobby area. And there's this section where they have, what is that called? The meditation pod. There's like this.
Oh, it's absurd. There's this meditation pod. I don't even know what it's called. Like Rob Dyrdek has one.
Rob Dyrdek has one. I can't remember the name, but it's a literal pod.
Egg. Like you just sit in this egg.
It looks like the Lady Gaga egg that she brought to the Grammys, and you sit in it, you close it on top of you. It doesn't close all the way. So you don't have to worry about like claustrophobic vibes, but and then
your legs are out, but it's got this light that surrounds it. Sorry to cut you off,
and it's this whole sensory experience. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, this place is just stunning, but
it's the coolest.
I love it so much because it's a lot of people where their minds go is like, okay, but the cost, the investment of that, is it really worth it? And it's like, what's the cost? What is it costing you to be at home right now, or to have a space where you can't think because things are crazy at home, or you're stressed out, or you're overtouched, or, you know, whatever the thing is. And this isn't the solution for everybody. And I'm not saying everybody should go do this right now, but I think reframing it. Do you get to write this off?
Yes.
The whole thing.
It's an office. And on top of it, when people like clients or business partners, indirect sales, anyone that comes into town, they stay here. And when people come to town, like, yes, this entire thing is a business write-off.
Okay. I'm about to do this for my podcast because I've been wanting to do like an in-person podcast situation, and I thought about an apartment. And what's cool about that is I could fly guests in and they could stay in the apartment. That's where we could record. I could dip. And then if it's in Nashville, now we have a place downtown Nashville to play. Yep. And, you know, oh, wow. Okay. Now I'm going to take this seriously. This is fun. But I think that that's so badass that you've done that for yourself. And clearly the proof is in the pudding, like what that has done for you. Do you know in your human design if you have an open G center? I
don't remember, but I'm going to look because I've got it saved. I'm learning so much about human design still. It's like very fresh for me.
Because the thing you said about environment is very open G center.
I have a defined G center.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. Everybody is affected by their environment in one shape or form. But fun fact, all of my centers are defined except for my G center. That's the only one that's open for me. And that is very much like picking up on other people's energies. And my environment for me is critical. Like if it made so much sense when I learned this, because I'm the one who, like, before I can relax, I have to straighten up the house. I have to make sure like things feel good around me. Otherwise I can't, will affect me. And Chris just isn't. He's like, get over yourself, like sit down. I'm like, I can't. But
I love it.
So I just
It's funny how we always find our
tangent there.
polar opposite.
Oh, when I tell you, polar opposite. Yin to my yang.
Yep. Love that.
Okay. Well, I think we just do a natural, easy segue into Vibrator Gate.
Vibrator Gate. Y'all, it's alive and well right now.
Oh,
okay.
man.
I
Oh,
just want the story. You want me to just lay this out for you guys?
Give it to us. Give it to us.
Okay. So it's always funny. I'm like, how do I even start this? And I haven't had to verbally explain this to anybody. So here we go. So
I think you start with Hunter carrying it in for you.
Last weekend. Okay. I'll go back a day further. So hi, I'm a 41-year-old married woman, and I'm very just like, whatever. I thought everyone had vibrators. I was like, this has got to be a normal thing. And so mine dies. Had it for a couple of years. I mean,
R.I.P.
It was very trustworthy. It was a good one. Well, it dies, doesn't recharge. I'm like, son of crap. And Chuck's like, can you order another one? I said, yes. And I literally opened the app Saturday morning. It says same day delivery. I'm like, gotta love Amazon. So
won't he do it?
Asking it is given. So a couple hours go by. I take Hunter for a walk, pushing the stroller. I come back, and there's an Amazon box in the middle of the pathway to my house. And so Hunter runs out. I'm like, go get that for mommy. Go put it up on the steps. So I happen to have my phone out, and I start recording. Again, I didn't even upload it in real time, but I record him just holding this box, putting it up on the front step, and then running off. So that night, or no, the next day, so I'm uploading stories, and I'm just like, oh, LOL. Thanks, Hunter, carrying my new vibrator up to the steps. And so I personally, I don't pay too much attention to insights and analytics and reach and all that stuff on Instagram because the app is drunk. It makes no sense half the time. And so I'm just like, whatever. But I just started to notice that, for one, I was getting a boatload of actual inbox messages. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm getting a lot more actual notifications, even on old posts. And I'm like, what is happening? And I'm like, well, for some reason, my content's being pushed out right now. I don't know. So I open up the messages, and it is just for one, I mean, at least 20 in that first 30 minutes are like, can you send me the link? Which made me laugh. So everybody who's out there looking, they're just looking for recommendations, they're graphic tees over here. And I'm just like, okay, so I'm like, yeah, I'll share it out in a little bit. And then the messages just start from everyone, and it was all positive. Honestly, some of it was a little I guess sad to a certain degree, but there were a lot of messages of women just oh, I've never ordered one from Amazon. And then others were just I've always wanted to get a vibrator. I just haven't for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I will. And then other messages oh, my husband won't let me have one. He thinks we don't need it. I know, all this stuff. And I'm all these things.
My jaw is on the floor.
I know. Proceed. And I'm like, I know. So later on in the day, I kind of had to have a come to Jesus conversation on my stories with people because I was like, I don't think people understand that this can be a part of your marriage, a part of your partnership. Bring it in.
You're not going in the closet by yourself. I mean, maybe, but
I said, I was
we're sharing too.
But I'm telling you, this can be part of your life. Please experience orgasms. Here's the permission if you needed it. But so then I put on my stories and I link the exact one because people were literally asking. Allie, in that first hour, there were hundreds of clicks. By the end of the day, it was thousands of clicks.
What?
Thousands of clicks. And I was like, what the hell is happening? Because for one, that's never happened on my social media ever. I get a good amount of engagement, but never hundreds. Well, I mean, I'll get hundreds time to time, but thousands, never. I'm for a vibrator?
Yeah.
And what this told me, because these weren't new people looking at my stories, this was more of my following was getting reach, I think because of all the engagement, which was fine. But I was just are this many women out there literally just waiting to get a vibrator and they're waiting for someone to just tell them it's okay?
God.
And that's what I kind of started to realize, because then in conversations, many people, many women replied saying, hey, just ordered my first one. Thank you. And I'm like, girl, why? Why was it this that made you order? I didn't ask, but I was just who told you that you couldn't have one 20 years ago? Or all these things. And that was that's part of my life right now, because that was Sunday when I put that on my stories, and now it's Thursday. Last night I even put a post together about it, because I was just like, there's like a conversation that needs to be had about stop waiting for permission from other people, inspiration, motivation. Like, when you've thought about things as simple as ordering a vibrator, which gives you happiness and makes you happier to everyone and nicer to everyone in your life, like, it shouldn't take, I mean, I'm honored. I'm really honored that I welcome this many people into this new chapter of their life, but I'm just like, it shouldn't take someone that you like, know, and trust finally just talking about something that doesn't get talked about enough, even though it's been on your heart, it's been in your mind, to make you move. Like, if it's there, we have to start trusting that it's okay to make that decision, to make these moves accordingly, simply because they're there. And I think that that's just this very alive thing that came forward to me just with that experience. And also, I mean, I don't know if I can help a husband. I know you probably don't have dudes that listen to this.
Oh my gosh, they're probably like writing you love letters as we speak. But
I'm getting a couple weird men following me now too. I'm like, oh, yeah, but it's all right. Karina helps with the block button.
Just start talking about tampons and they'll dip.
Someday we're gonna get them.
Oh my God. What I love about this, I love a couple of different things. I love how this wasn't orchestrated, right? You didn't realize, you didn't say, okay, I'm going to share this because I know it's going to get a ton of engagement. I'm going to get thousands and thousands of clicks, and it's going to be this segue into this bigger conversation. It wasn't like that. It was very organic. But in order to even spur this experience that you had for everybody, and lives, I mean, let's be honest, lives you probably changed, marriages you probably changed because of this. It took a level of openness, right? It took a level of comfort in just who you are and the things that you want to talk about on your social media. And so that's number one. And number two, you drawing this parallel. And it was so masterful the way you did this. And I think this could be such a powerful teaching point for anybody who creates content and wants to tie it with their business, because the way you did this was expert level 100.
Well, thank you.
Where you drew this parallel of like the need for permission, this like waiting to see somebody that you're friends with, that you admire, go first, and letting that be the thing. They're like, okay, well, if she does this, I guess I could now too, you know. And the way that you drew that parallel, it was badass. So I want to start with the first piece, you even feeling comfortable talking about that online.
Sure.
Because that's something that like, I'll say right now, could never. I've got my sister-in-law seeing my stories. I've got, you know, like I definitely, I've gotten a lot better, but I know a lot of people. So for you, how do you navigate that? Do you ever think about that? Do you ever, like, what's your process of being comfortable talking about the things you want to share, vibrators or otherwise?
Yeah. And for the record, this is the first time I've ever talked about vibrators or sex toys. Like I am, I figured for anyone listening, like I am, I'm kind of perverted. So a lot of my memes tend to be
same. Yeah.
And funny. But so it's not, okay, let me go back, because I do know how this came to be. And this is a practice, just like smiling, opening the phone, or just checking yourself before you do things. And this is going to go against every single social media expert guru's advice.
Ooh, I'm excited.
I am not creating content for other people. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not doing it for the people that follow. I'm doing it because it makes me laugh, or I think it's great, or I think it's funny, or I need to just get this out of my body because it has to be there. And I want to see it a year from now in memories and be like, I remember that. And a big reason that now I'm comfortable talking about anything, putting memes out there that I know I lose followers or whatever over, like, I don't know how some of the people ended up in my circle anyway, if they see me write the F word in a caption and then run for the hills, because I'm like, I have intentionally now created enough content for myself that I really like for me, because if I came across it or someone else was sharing it, it would make me laugh. I've been doing this long enough that every now and then I'll get someone in there that's just like, what am I doing here? Bye. But for the most part, it really stopped being about, because I know I see people teach us. I'm not saying that they're wrong. They're right. I'm wrong. Let's call it that. I don't care. But I don't want to create content for other people, because then every single thing about what I'm doing is showing up to the job because my boss is expecting me to be there. Is because that's how I get a paycheck. That's just not the world I.
And you can't make everybody happy. So what do you mean? You'd be driving yourself insane.
And bless your sister-in-law and bless all the people that you're worried about saying half the things. But that's the thing too, is like, and I mean this in the most loving way, but when we are choosing to water down the things that we want to share and put out because we know it connects with the right people, when we're changing it, shifting it for the people that we're afraid of their opinion, it is not for, you're not creating content for the right people anymore. You're making it for other people, not you, but anyone.
No, 100%. No,
that's
I'm
just what I
fully guilty of this.
Yeah. And it's part of the learning experience. But what I've realized is for every 1 to 2, I mean, you know this is basic, just psychology, but for every 1 to 2 people who won't like it, could have something negative to say, I already know, because I love data and I love just experiencing and seeing the tons of people that will be happy that I said it, happy that I experienced it. And it's like, I don't want to create an ecosystem on social media where I have to walk on eggshells or make sure that I'm rewording things, because it's as simple as we're not for everyone. We're not supposed to be, you know?
Exactly. And I mean, one of my favorite analogies I've shared before is like that ice cream analogy, right? Like until you get comfortable showing up as who you are and talking about the things you want to talk about in the way that you would honestly share it with your friends and your family, you're just being vanilla, and vanilla doesn't piss anybody off. And it also doesn't attract anybody, you know? So like you have found your vibe literally and figuratively. Yeah, and it's clearly working for you. I mean, clearly. And you're absolutely right. It just like it gets attention too, because not everybody feels that level of comfort. And to me, that's a good thing, you know, because like, that's why I love your content so much, because you share the funny memes and you go there. And I'm always a fan of the accounts that go there, because that's my sense of humor. That's what makes me giggle. And it makes me feel like I'm not alone over here being a freakazoid who thinks the way that I think, you know?
Yeah.
So,
There's just like a tiny little period. It's short, but I promise, when you just use that like giggle as the gauge of should I post it or not. And it's a period of you post it and then you see some people leave, or you see like someone watching it that you're like, oh God, I wish that they didn't see it. But like you survive it enough times and you realize that like people actually are happy that you're doing it. And then that giggle meter just becomes your cat call. That's like, oh, if I laugh, like literally this morning, I put memes up that I was standing in the kitchen, like belly laughing. And Chuck's like, what is wrong with you? I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Boom, 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 put them up. And it's like, I probably years ago would have second guessed or would have doubted if I should. But at this gauge, I'm like, if I think it's hilarious, there's going to be people that think this is hilarious. Yeah. And it is what it is. Let's go.
I love that though. Like what did you say? Let your giggle be
the giggle meter, the giggle meter. Is that what I said? I don't know.
Something like that. But let that be the sign for you. Like if you're genuinely laughing at it, are you saying that that's your push to like post it before you overthink it?
No, that's my, but like if I am laughing, it gets saved in my phone and I typically will upload it. Like,
and your giggle becomes your cat call. That's so good.
Yeah. See, it's easy.
Okay. I just wanted to pick your brain about that, because that's something that I preach about this stuff all the time, but everybody's different. Everybody has different brands. And that's still something that like, there's still those things that I giggle, I laugh hard. I'm like, I can't post that.
Yeah.
You know, and then you overthink it and it does. And you said, so one of the things, that's one of these posts that I love about yours. When you water down your personality and language in your content to make sure the local PTA moms don't judge you, now you're creating content for them. And it goes back to like, who are we speaking to here?
Yeah. And something important to note about that is this does not have to just be vibrators or pervy things, or like if you are incredibly just like passionate in your faith, or you just have incredibly strong feelings about whatever, I don't know, about carbs and you want to talk about them and you're afraid that people are not going to like and this and that, that's always going to be the challenge, but that's the game too, is like putting it out there for the right people and knowing that the people that aren't right are not going to like it, but they're not going to stay. You're not going to face that for very long anyway. And the fact is like, you create a place where if people feel that permission to just show up and be themselves and be excited about the content and engaging and community and messaging and stuff like that. Oh man, there was something I just had. Hold on. It'll come back to me. Yeah. I don't remember exactly what it was, but there's something. It'll come back and I'll let you know. Yeah.
But it goes to the way that I think about this too is like, and if it comes to you, just interrupt me because I don't want you to lose it again. But if you have their attention, you can have their sale. Mm-hmm. Right. And if you have a relationship and trust with people, and what's a faster way to build that trust than to be authentically, and I hate, it's so cliche at this point, but like authentically real in who you are. And that is something that you have just absolutely nailed. And you've done such an incredible idea. And I also want to point out to you on your bio.
I do remember.
Okay. Okay. Go. Okay. And I'll go.
The only side part of this is that there is also a manner in doing it that is polarizing to a certain degree, but doesn't tell people that they're wrong for not agreeing with you. That's the whole point of it that I think is important too, because a lot of times, if like just this Vibrator conversation, there's people that I could see would be, wanting to make someone who think vibrators are wrong and that they should not be a part of their marriage, that this is time to tear them apart. That's not the game. The game is not figure out how you can be so right that other people are wrong. Yeah. The game is just standing in what you enjoy, what you value, what you believe, and creating a place where other people that can agree with you feel accepted and excited to be there, but people that maybe don't share the exact same thought don't feel villainized because they don't feel the same. Yeah. They don't completely agree. Because I always just go back to like, you're right, then it's fine. Like I'm fine with being wrong. You are right.
This is just my opinion, my experience. Who's to say I'm right? Who's to say you're wrong? Yeah. And that brings up trolls. And we're going to talk about that too. Well, let's just go there. So I know you have experience with trolls, just like from years of growing an online account. Yeah. What is your take on them now? How do you navigate them? What's your experience with them nowadays, if anything?
Yeah. So I have created a bunch of fun mind games that make everything not mean anything.
And we love a mind game. Give us a mind game.
We love a good mind game. You've even heard this one from the mastermind or from our mastermind. But like the fact is I used to like, and we call them trolls. I grew up with a really like shitty group of friends when I was like in middle school, high school. Like they were just actually terrible girls and hated me. And I don't know why we all hung out. Yeah. And it was just like, they were just mean to me, like literally made fun of me all the time. So I entered like adulthood with this baggage of just like, your friends are actually supposed to be terrible to you. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't understand for a little bit how to trust friendships or trust connections or trust any of that. Truly, this sounds insane, until social media, because it was like I got to pick and choose when I was there. I didn't have to be stuck in situations where I was with a bunch of people that I didn't like. I can literally not be on there. And when I started to experience the messages or the comments or people not just not agreeing with something I'm posting, but just saying terrible, awful things about me, about my intelligence or about my body or all those things, of course, it did actually hurt my feelings incredibly, because I'm just like, see, you needed that proof. People don't actually like you. And I had to do my work around that. I won't lie. A big part of that was just actually taking the time to realize that like our thoughts are jacked half the time, that things were lied to all the time within our own brain. And we can have a whole other conscious, subconscious conversation another day. But I got to a place where I had to make the conscious decision, though, that if I was going to be in social media and I was going to operate business on there, I can't take an arrow every time someone doesn't like me. Mm. And so the block button became very strong. I just didn't care. There wasn't a response. There wasn't anything needed. The block button was there. But then in the last 2 years, I find so much joy from this now, because again, it's mindset games. But anytime I'm seeing an adult act like this, there's just a unmet need that they have deep within them that they just purely have no idea how to communicate. And if the way that they're deciding to communicate it that day is by messaging a stranger on Instagram and being nasty or commenting or whatever, that's an odd way for them to do it, but whatever. And that is all it has to be at this point. And because I have, a toddler and we're still trying to potty train him. He's like a feral animal and it is not working yet, but once we get there, I just imagine literally like on the other end, the person holding that phone is just like a 3-year-old version of this weirdo in a diaper having a meltdown. And it's just like, meh, and they're on my Instagram. And that's what's happening. And it's silly, but
brilliant. It's actually brilliant because
it could be disassociation too, but I don't know. I don't care. It works.
It's so good though, because it's true. And I think anytime anybody's getting trolled or gets that nasty comment online, and like immediately it's, you don't immediately think like, oh, what's going on in their day? What's going on in their world? That's usually when you're a few hours or days removed where you can now look at it from an outside, more wise perspective of like, gosh, I wouldn't do that. Like, I can't imagine being in that headspace to say something so disgusting to a stranger or to whomever. But like for you to be able to take it that fast and shift. And I love the diaper, that way of seeing them, the visualization, because you're absolutely right. I mean, it's very akin to a child losing their shit and hitting and scratching and doing things that they wouldn't normally do because they can't regulate their emotions. And it's very similar to what's happening with trolls online. There's something deep, I'm not going to say wrong, but something's happening in their world to where that's the only control that they have.
Yeah. People that have a like well-maintained emotional quotient to them are not being mean to other people on the internet. That's just like not a thing. So if they're doing it, I just take it for like, and it is immediate now because I just have trained myself that way. But like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't think that goes away ever. And so it's just one of those things, like if that's going to be something that's going to deter me from showing up as my full self on here and make this a place I don't enjoy being, again, it feels the same as like I had this one office job once where one of the women that worked there, like she was unhinged. She was psychotic. Once she threw a chair against the wall, literally had a meltdown and threw a chair against the wall, but she still maintained a job there. I don't know how. And I had
HR, knock, knock.
Yeah, I know. I had to figure out how to function there because I was like, I mean, I was ready to leave. I did get to leave it, but like, I was like, this is an unstable, really whack place to be. But like social media can be a really unstable, whack place to be. But like, how are we going to hold our weight there? And like, there has to be a plan for that. I don't think we just wait until it gets bad enough and then we decide to leave it.
Yeah, because if one troll is the thing that breaks you, that makes you hide, that makes you censor yourself and not talk about things, somebody who doesn't even know you, right? Then what are we going to, I mean, that's just going to be a no end game where you're just not cut out for this. So I think, so you just block immediately. That's your strategy.
For the most part. I mean, I do my best to understand if I'm going to make any form of content around it. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from I'm trying to like them, or am I coming from like there is actual value I can share with this? But for the most part, they get blocked.
Yeah. I straddle the line. I like to talk shit. So it kind of,
I love talking shit too.
Yeah, it gives me a gay old little chuckle and tickles something. And I don't know. I mean, we can therapize that all day long, but I like to go back for, but also it's like, okay, why fuel the fire? Why give them any attention? But I will say this.
Sometimes that's fun too, because then you get to keep picking at how silly they are.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it's just as long as it doesn't backfire on you, Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is something that in the mastermind that I'm in, we've been talking about how like eventually there's going to be a shift online where creators who are just trying to have a good time, create good content, put out good things into the world, sell things online, whatever it is that they sell, are going to start calling these trolls out and people out for this behavior. And holding, some way holding them accountable. And I think it's been like this wild, wild west situation where there's been no rules, so people can get away with murder. And there's going to be a shift, I think, now with the way that there are these, what are they called? Internet, I want to say internet sheriff. Kind of investigators, people
Oh, yeah.
that can track I don't know, where
I know
people
what you're
are.
saying.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
go in where people are and where they're posting and whether they have a fake account or not.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that.
I look forward to that too. Like, I cannot fathom having not just that much time on my hand, but like honestly, that much hate in my heart that
Yeah.
you're just like, I can't wait to cut some time out today so I can sit down and be mean to people.
No.
I'm like,
And then you think of it like that and then you feel bad. It's like, damn, what
I don't feel
happened?
bad for him. I just really do like, I don't know. I just can't. I don't
I
get it.
just can't.
But
I just can't.
we just got to raise nice kids. Everyone raise
We
really kind, nice, empathetic children. That's all we have to do.
we
That will fix
do.
it.
I'm looking at your bio right now and it says,
Oh, I just got to fix it today. Go on.
oh, well, I wonder if this is the new one.
Yeah.
But money mindset memes. And then it says, I'm funny and my stories are great.
Yeah, they are.
That makes me so happy. When women can own what they're good at or what they want to just claim that they're good at. Like I don't care what you think. I'm funny. I'm freaking
Mhm.
hilarious. And you do. And this is the reason why, again, I'm so attracted to you because you just own it. You are so unabashedly just confident in where you are in your lane. And women, we all need to see that on some level. We need to see powerful women owning the fact that they're powerful, and by the way, that's everybody. That's all of us.
Yes.
But like owning it and not trying to fake this phony, humble bullshit unless that's actually where you are, which fine,
Mhm.
be you, but to like fake it so people think that you're nice or whatever is just so boring. And so I just love that confidence that you have. I had to point that
Yeah.
out. I appreciate
Thanks.
that so much. Well, you are just, guys, if you haven't picked up on the fact that you need to follow Katie, you just I don't think I need to tell you at this point,
Oh, Lordy.
but
Time.
thank God for all of us. You are now starting to provide services to help women do this for themselves because this
Yeah.
does not come natural to everybody. I've been doing this for years and it's still something that I struggle with. So I'm just so thankful that you're shifting and you've pivoted enough to selflessly give your services and helping women not only create social media presences that work for their business and work for who they actually are, but also to attract in money and build, an abundance and build their businesses and be more magnetic, on a social media front, but also for money as well. So talk to
Yeah.
us a little bit about what you have going on right now and what we should have on our radar. I know you have a masterclass that's coming up soon. Talk to us about
Well,
that.
I will also tell you selfishly, like if everyone could just get with being their whole ass selves on social media, it will be a lot more fun for me too, because I love consuming content there.
Yes.
So it's a big
Serious.
premise of
Yeah.
it, like for real.
Agreed.
So own it, everyone. Okay, so right now, interestingly enough, Vibrator Gate popped up right when I have been just getting like my big drive and download around my next masterclass. I've been doing one a month since I've started my coaching business, and this month I have the Money Moves masterclass because I think owning and embodying and being like focus on where you want to go sounds really fun and really sexy. But if you can't tell, even just from this conversation today, like there are a lot of moving parts to it. And there are a lot of things that are going to be going on in our mindset that I think can and will be super simply cleaned up when we get together during that masterclass. So for me, it is about money, but I have found money to be a byproduct of working on all the other stuff. And the other stuff is simple. It's literally noticing and paying attention to you are an actual soul in a body. You have actual feelings that you're ignoring because you've been taught that you're supposed to be thinking certain things. It's about focusing on the embodiment of what that actually looks like every single day, because it's not always just sitting down and making sure you're doing personal development and meditating 10 minutes a day. But I want to really help lead people who have a desire to just go deeper around the work of what it looks like to feel confident and whole making moves for themselves that move them closer to whatever their highest good is, because that is different for everyone.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's super simple. And so we're going to get together. It's a 2-day masterclass, May 17th and May 18th. At some point, I'm going to repackage it as a course because it's a lot. And I was just like, I'm going to do it for free because I'm just excited to see what comes, but like what comes out of my mouth, honestly. But in the future, if you're hearing this in the future, it will be a masterclass. And I have all of my courses and everything available at katiescourses.com.
Yes.
Isn't that cute?
Yes. And you can always reach out to Katie and just have a good laugh and find out more about that. But yeah, you're creating quite the bank of offers and masterclasses, and it's so well-rounded. And I just want to tie this point, like with the money moves, you're a big piece of this and what you're doing online, just from people following you, even if they don't want to work with you yet, or don't have a need to work with you yet, this idea of permission. And I think that's what, by you being more of who you are and owning that and being your colorful, vibrant, full, all caps ass you, I'm seeing that and it's inspiring me. Other women are seeing that and it's inspiring them. And any time that you're tapped into that, you're going to get clarity around things. You're going to get clarity around things that just shouldn't be in your life anymore. And also you're going to feel probably more emboldened to make those moves toward the things that you actually want to do, which the byproduct of all of those things is money, honey.
Yeah.
So
it's money. It comes through like coincidences and serendipities and opportunities popping up out of nowhere, but it's not. You were literally clearing the gunk out of the way for these things to just pop up right in front of you. I love that.
Well, I'm very excited about it. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your heart. It's been a really fun conversation, and I feel like this was like a coaching strategy for me. So I'm excited to go post some inappropriate memes now, but
I can't wait. I've noticed that you do drop a couple more cusses than you used to on the podcast, and that is life-giving
she's coming
for
out
me.
Of her shell.
I literally noticed it around January. I was like, here she is. This is so exciting. I'm so excited.
Slowly but surely, in my own time. I have my own stuff to work through, but that's a topic for another day. Where can people find you?
I am pretty much mainly hanging out on Instagram. It's at katierollins.insta. And yeah, all my courses, everything I have going out, products I offer, all the magic is typically over there.
Beautiful. Go give her a follow. Thank me later. Katie, you are a gem. You are a gift. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
I love you. Thanks, Allie.
Love you.